many guitars do you really need? Maybe a better question is, how many guitars does your wife think you need? See, I have this ongoing debate with my wife who, she really supports me in this channel, but she doesn't understand. Why do I need all these guitars? Can you really tell the difference? The argument I make is that, well, they all do different stuff. They're good for different styles. They have different sound. They sound different. That's the argument that I make. And my wife doesn't get it. So let's put that to the test today. Do they really sound different? So I put together a blind test and I sent a video to some of my guitarist friends. Some of them have YouTube channels. You can check it out in the description below. I recorded all three of these guitars that you see here, but I didn't tell them which was which. It's a blind test. And so you can test yourself too. So when the video plays, make a note which one you think it is. Is it a Les Paul? Is it a Strat? Is it a Tele? And let's see how well you did. So here's the video that I sent to my friends. Hey, thanks for helping me out with my little experiment here. I want to know, can you hear the difference between these three guitars? I'm going to run them all through a Line 6 Pod Go with one of Rhett Scholl's Tweed amp settings. They all have Ernie Ball 8s on them. And I'm going to dial in the tone knobs to where I think it kind of sounds similar. And I want to know, can you hear the difference? So listen to all three of them, film your reaction, and then go one by one and tell me what characteristics you hear and which one you think it is and why. You've got a Les Paul Custom 1960 reissue. You've got a Squire Telecaster with American Fender Vintage 52 pickups in it. You've got a Tajima T635 with Alnico 5 pickups in it. These are Alnico 3. So, very different. But are they? How different is it? Can you hear the difference? Let me know what you think. Pause the video right now and make a comment. I want to know which one you think it is. Which one's guitar number 1, number 2, and number 3. And no cheating, no going to the end. Let me know which one you think, and then come back, reply to yourself, and tell me if you got them right. Let's see what my friends thought.
Okay, brother, you gave me a little bit of a challenge here.
Hey, what's up, Justin? So I'm about to take your little sound blind test, which will probably discredit me as a guitar player, but I'm going to give it a shot. I'm going to take a listen. Here we go.
All right, Justin, let's see. We'll watch your video here and see if I can tell the difference between these guitars you're talking about.
First off, thank you for letting me play this game with you, but I think you're cheating. Because these three different guitars, you've made them all sound like the Les Paul, which you can almost do. But you could not get away with this if you were trying to make them sound like the Telecaster.
Alright, Justin, so I gave it a listen, and here's how I think it pans out.
There's a couple of things that it is that I'm looking for in terms of this in order to say whether it is the Les Paul, the Strat, or the Tele. One of the things that really sets those sounds apart is with the Tele, you're wanting to get a very crisp and clean with a lot of high end. So that's what I'm looking for.
Because the point is to highlight these differences. If you were playing each of them in their sweet spot, we'd all know it like that, which guitar is which. So that's what I want next, is you to try to make these three guitars sound like a Tele.
With the Strat, what I'm looking for there is a little bit of that punchy / quacky sound is what I'm looking for there. Just kind of like a skittish pump, you know, kind of thing. or like a quack. That's that's the best way to describe that.
Okay. So I've got this going so that I can hear it clearly. And I got you on my screen here. So here we go.
Okay, I'm going to listen and give you my initial thoughts on each individual one as I hear it, and then I'll go back, and if I change my mind, I'll change my mind. But here we go.
I am a bassist, primarily, but I'm also the proud owner of a Gibson Les Paul, a Fender Custom Shop Telecaster, and an Indonesian-made Squier Strat. And I'm very familiar with these guitars, how they sound, how they play, what they're for. I'm also very superstitious about things like tone woods and pickup winding styles, what kind of cables you're using. I'm one of these fools who's tricked themselves into thinking that they can tell the difference.
And with Les Paul, I'm looking for a lot of low end. Okay? So, upon reviewing your MP3s there that you played on your video, I have to say that you've done a very good job of basically trying to mimic the sound, a particular sound, through all three of them.
Okay. You know what, man? You got them in there like perfectly sounding. Instinct is I'm gonna go.
So I'm going to give an educated guess. Okay? And that's the best I can do. I may get all three of them wrong. Who knows?
But here is my attempt at guessing 1, 2, and 3.
I want to say.
Guitar 1. My initial thought, that's the Les Paul.
I believe that the first one is the Telecaster.
Number 1, that's your Gibson Les Paul.
Tele, Gibson, Strat.
1 definitely sounds like it's the Tele. It's too much country twang to hide.
Guitar 2, my initial thought is that's the Tele.
I believe that the second one is the Les Paul.
Number 2, and I'm very certain about number 2, is the Telecaster. I'll put money on number 2. Number 2 is the Tele.
I think I've changed my mind already. Guitar 1, I think, is actually the Tele after going back and listening to it the second time. I guess my main thought behind that is it does have that twang. Yeah, it has that twang like in the later part of your riff you're playing that just kind of screams Tele to me. And then the Guitar 2 has that deep, low end that I think of when I think of a Les Paul.
And then 2 sounds like the Les Paul, but I wouldn't have known it unless I would have heard 3, which was the giveaway for the Strat. 2 and 3 were a very close match, and honestly, it was a toss-up.
And I think that the third one is the Strat. I could be way off, but that is my guess.
All right, Guitar 3. Pretty sure that's the Strat.
And number 3 is that Stratocaster, which you're running like you're doing a cover of Eric Clapton. That is a classic woman tone Strat. All the tone knobs pulled all the way down to 0. Volume dialed back just a little for that warmth and that almost underwater tone. And then you're using the tweed, the reverb and the gain to cover a multitude of sins and try to catch up to those humbuckers on the Les Paul. So number 1, Les Paul. Number 2, Telecaster. Number 3, Stratocaster.
Tele, Gibson, Strat. Final answer. Let me know what happens.
It's my final answer. Guitar 1 is the Tele, Guitar 2 is the Les Paul, Guitar 3 is the Strat. Let's see if I'm right.
If I had to guess, again, 1's the Tele, 2's the Les Paul, 3's the Strat. Hope this helps out.
right, so the results are in, and it looks like everyone except the bass player, and we'll give him that, got it right. They could tell the difference, even with me dialing in tones that I think sounded similar between the three guitars. They could tell the difference. So, do we really need all these guitars? Well, maybe not, but at least here's a tiny bit of proof that they do sound different, even when somebody who's been playing a while tries to make them sound the same. Guitar players can still tell a difference. If you enjoyed this video, leave me a comment, like, subscribe. Have fun. Keep playing.